Charlotte by 2. LeBron drives again down the middle. Slam dunk! Just an absolute thunder dunk by LeBron.
He's up to second place, but Russell backs out of it. And Verstappen roars around the outside to take the lead in spectacular fashion. Unbelievable.
He finds Luka to beat the clock. Got it! The gun! That is so Luka right there.
All about basketball, Formula One, cap stuff, pop culture, and much more. Welcome to Mojito Talk with Tony Vega.
What's happening, people? Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to Purple and Gold Mine's channel, to the Mojito Talk section. I'm yours truly, Tony Vega, and I'm here with TIm Cranjis. Tim, introduce yourself for those people that don't know who you are.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me here today, Tony. My name is Tim. Yeah. You and others may know me as Cranjis McBasketball on Twitter. Not my real name. That's a name from a bit from a Impractical Joker sketch that happened to have basketball in it. Went with it, ran with it, accidentally kind of built a brand with it, and now it's too late to change. So we're rolling with it. I am the founder of B-Ball Index, a stats website. We have some great public tools, some free ones, some ones that are $5 for a month, and then we also do some consulting with agents and teams and players. And then I'm also the co-host of the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast, where we look at the Lakers and really focus in from a scheme standpoint, from kind of a coaching perspective, and also talking data as well, of course, because we have a lot of great resources available to us. So I am looking at the game from a couple different angles, and always happy to chat some ball, man. That intro video had me pumped up.
Yes, it is. It's meant to do that. It's meant to inject adrenaline and talk hoops. And for those who are thinking, what is Formula One? We will get to that soon. Are you a Formula One fan by any chance, Tim?
I am not, and nor did I realize that was part of the show. So when I saw that part of the video, I was like, what's going on here?
No, it's actually like, so this is so just for people, I haven't really done the background of this show, but basically this is me with a little bit, maybe alcohol on this cup, maybe water with some alcohol. I don't know, but it's just basically me talking sports in general. Could be Lakers, could be Formula One. Formula One is one of my passions. I love Formula One. Same thing with basketball. Basketball is another passion of mine. So in general, like, this is just a place to hang out, have a conversation, and just have this opportunity to talk. And specifically for this show, for this episode, we're just going to talk about Luka and the Lakers. So yeah, and by the way, for those interested in Formula One, we're really going to talk about it because I have a lot to say. And for those that are wanting to get into Formula One, that's going to be an interesting show. So, and I can't do this more as a football space or things like that because there's not enough time in the world, to be fair. Like if we talk football, then that's another, which football is also approaching in season. But anyway, you've been good, Tim. I do appreciate you. Thank you for joining. I did the intro this way to a certain point because, to be fair, Tim, I knew Tim from Twitter. He does such an amazing work trying to dissect the game through X's and O's. And I always get the background, like founder of B-Ball Index, that like all that. Like I can't, it's too much. Like I need to write it down, Tim.
Man. I got a lot going on. I'm juggling for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, bro. I don't know about you, but recently, did you see Luka?
I have seen the pictures. I am familiar.
You've seen the pictures, which are not doctored by the way. We see the pictures and the videos of him out there. What's your first impressions, bro?
I mean, it's a mix of emotions because, like, I have seen this cycle play out a lot as someone who, like, I had a season ticket package to Luka's rookie year in Dallas. I have seen him a lot in Texas, playing a lot of games. I've seen him in person a bunch, and there has been a cycle with him being in shape and then out of shape and then in shape and out of shape. And every offseason, like, something I did for my pod was I went to Google and I searched like Luka conditioning or Luka weight, and I looked only during the off season of every season of his career, and you can find a half dozen articles at least every single season about how this is the year he's putting it together, this is the year he's got a new diet, this is the year he has a new trainer, all these different things. I'm seeing the same things now. Sometimes it's kind of worked, sometimes it hasn't worked. I am, of course, biased and I want it to work. And
Yes.
I mean, we've seen what this guy can do even when he's not in the best shape, when he's, losing some effectiveness deeper in
Yeah.
shifts or games or in the season. If you can get that burst back for him, and he can be the guy that I did get to see in person that rookie year that had 27 dunks, instead of the guy we saw this past season who had 2 dunks. And that's, there's some aesthetic there, but also, if you're able to dunk the ball, there's more burst there. You're able to finish through contact, and, there are just more shots you can make than if you're only shooting layups. And that's just one way to look at this, but I want that guy back so bad on this Lakers team. And it's really important for them to have a chance as a title contender this upcoming season. So I am hopeful. I am excited to see him and Slovenia play next month, and I will be tuning in for that. I'll be digging into the film for that. But if he can sustain it, and there truly is some effectiveness by like osmosis, and like LeBron's got him on the right stuff, and we know LeBron takes care of his body better than anyone. If Luka can actually turn that corner, league's in trouble.
The league that is music to my ears. And yes, I agree. I have the same worry, you could say, when it comes to Luka, because I've heard and I've seen, like, I remember it was 2023, like that 2023-2024 season when they went to the finals. Like I remember Jason Kidd saying, like, we're gonna run more, we're gonna do like I need you to, like, basically to get in. It was pseudo get in shape, and he looked for the most part in shape. And that season it was kind of magical. But yeah, if he can sustain this during the season, I think the league, like you say, is in trouble. But diving into this, like, you had a post, and this is where I kind of want to start, at least a little bit of the X's and O's. If Luka is in shape as he is, do you see a change in his defensive responsibilities? Or is his fit more as a helper and not a chaser, you could say? Because like I kind of view him as a chaser if he can stay in shape, if that makes sense.
It's certainly possible, and I guess for anyone who's unfamiliar, we at B-Ball Index have 11 offensive roles and 7 defensive roles that we use to categorize players based on what their job is. And so defensively, we have point of attack defenders who take on the opposing team's lead guard. We have chasers who are more of the off-ball guard defender, and sometimes they're the ones that are chasing, the JJ Redick, Kyle Korver types around, but also sometimes they just have to guard, a CJ McCollum type of guy. We have some guard and wing, or we have some wing defenders with the wing stopper, more of an on-ball scoring wing sort of defender. Think of your Kawhi Leonard, your Kevin Durant's. We have helpers that are more of an off-ball wing defender. Their job is, maybe they're guarding just a stationary shooter, and they're going to be focusing more on like help defense, rotating, recovering, cleaning up little messes as somebody gets beat on ball or there's a roll man or things like that. And then we also have low activity defenders, which are defenders that are hiding defensively. They're not guarding anyone tough, nor are they rotating. You don't want to be that. And then we have mobile bigs and anchor bigs. Either way, it's kind of your center defensively, and it's really a matter of, are you a drop coverage big or are you more of a hedge switch kind of big? With Luka, he's always been an off-ball defender. He's never been a point of attack guy. He's never been a wing stopper, and I don't expect him to be. But I think your question is an important one, because if he can go from being a helper and really guarding like 3s or maybe sometimes 4s defensively, just kind of based on what the other team's makeup is, and he can instead be a chaser and kind of guard more 2s, that opens up a lot from the perspective of like who you can have out on the court with him and what their role fits are. In his, what do we got here, 7 NBA seasons, 5 of the 7, he's been a low activity defender, just hiding, just standing in the corner, conserving energy, not really rotating, not really guarding anyone. You just put him on the worst offensive player and hope they don't try to pick on him. Last season, as well as in 2022, 2023, he was in that helper role. So I like that more, but it's still not ideal because he is not the guy I want tagging a roll man. He's not, 6'10", 6'9", super athletic. He is someone I think I want more off ball. So I hope that better shape helps with his quick first step and everything. I think it's going to matter more offensively and change the X's and O's on that end more than it does defensively, where there's still a lot of technique that he doesn't do well with when it comes to ball screen navigation and off ball screen navigation. But you certainly have more of a case to put him in there as a chaser than what we saw most recently from him in the Lakers jersey, which is just not a very mobile guy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That my vision was more about the versatility. Something about his weight, like last season, he felt more comfortable guarding the centers, guarding the power forwards, guarding like the bigger guy more than anything else. And it's attributed also with like, you can see like he can manage, he can, pause, kind of bang with those dudes to a certain extent. So if he can be a little bit more mobile, sacrifice the weight, but now have a little bit more foot speed, then I kind of want to see how versatile he can be on the defensive end a bit. But knowing that, and like, how can I say this? Let's change gears for 1 second, because you said something very important too, like the offensive end, because like this team to a certain extent, you kind of have to view it as an offense first team, not a defensive first team. Am I wrong saying that?
I think anytime you have Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic as your backcourt, you're going to have to be an offensive first team. You got LeBron James out there at this point in his career. You have to. You obviously want to be the best team you can be, and as you're constructing the team, you don't necessarily just say I want all offense and no defense. You want the best players out there, but with LA's best players out there, they do already skew offense, and to such a degree that it's going to be hard. Like you can't make up for that with just a couple defensive guys and then suddenly say this is a defensive team. That doesn't mean you need to be bad. That doesn't mean you need to punt on having good tactics and all of that. But yeah, this is absolutely an offensive first team.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And question: Who's your top five? Lakers top 5 players off the dome, and I think we know
starting
number
5?
3. So it would be basically who's your
players?
fifth? Who's your fifth starter? Is what I'm trying to get at, because we know Aiden's there. Who's your fifth starter?
Yeah, I'm starting LeBron, Luka, Ayton, like no matter what, right? And then you can debate what you do with the other two. I am starting Austin and I'm starting Marcus Smart, and I am having Smart guard the best opposing perimeter player, whether that's a lead guard and Smart plays point of attack, or that's a wing scorer and Smart plays wing stopper. He's done both in his career. I understand he's got his offensive limitations. He can still pass the ball really well. He's a really smart guy. He can screen. He can short roll. There's some things he can do. He's going to give you 33, 34% from 3. We can up his 3-point percentage, by the way. His 3-point shot quality, it can be better. So I do think LA can get a little bit more out of that. I don't think a bunch, but a little bit more. I think you might be able to get to 35.
And so when people say, when you say shot quality, just for the people that don't know this, you mean like how open the shot is?
I mean how open the shot is. I mean, is it a shot from the corner or above the break? Because the shots in the corners are actually closer to the rim. I mean, is it a pull-up shot or is it a catch-and-shoot shot? Because we know pull-up shots they're going to be more challenging. And then to the best that we can, trying to proxy for it, is he standing still when he's shooting, or is he needing to sprint into shots? So trying to take into account all of those factors. Marcus Smart, when it comes to his catch and shoot threes, he's had pretty good quality. He's left more open than you'd want for a perimeter player, but he still has taken so many pull-up threes in his career that his overall 3-point shot quality hasn't been as high as it can be. We regularly, with these LeBron AD and LeBron Austin and LeBron Luka teams, see guys in the 99th percentile, 98th percentile, getting the most easy shots you can get from 3, and he was nowhere close to that. So I think if you can take, even though he underperforms on threes, if you can plug him into the kind of quality that DFS got, or I don't know, Lonnie
Rui?
Walker got or Rui got over the past few years, you could probably see like 35%. Still underperforming. He might be shooting 35 when he should be shooting 39, but 35%, that's still a pretty good efficiency for a half court possession. And like, I'll take 1.05 points per possession all day long. I get that might be the poison the defense chooses to give us. But I can live with it. And I think that, that helps when we're talking about who that fifth starter is going to be. And I think just with Luka and LeBron as your helpers, Austin's better as a chaser. I need a point of attack defender. And if you stick Rui out there, now Austin needs to play point of attack. And I don't love that. And Luka needs to play chaser, and I don't love that. So having Smart out there allows you to slot everyone into jobs defensively that should make the most of them on a day-to-day basis, in normal situations. Of course, there are going to be tactics involved, and different opponents with different lineups can try to do different things. But I want the default defense to be one where guys are in the right jobs for their skill sets. I don't want my marketing guy doing my janitor work and my janitor, doing my data work. Like, let everyone do their jobs, and then if we need to adjust, we can adjust.
Basically, basically do the job that you're brought there to do, not the job that we want to evolve you to do. Basically,
exactly. Play with
learn
yourself.
to do. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I think, work on it behind the scenes. You're going to get some reps in. Of course, like, even if you deploy someone as a helper and they're off ball primarily, that doesn't mean they're never on ball. Like, teams are always, to an extent, going to try to go pull Luka or Austin or maybe even LeBron into the actions. So there's two teams playing here. It's not playing the computer in 2K. There's another team with another coach that's trying to do what they can do to exploit you. So it's never going to be, your job is perfectly 100% this and nothing else. But I think you should at least make the other team work for it to get your guys out of position.
That makes perfect sense. This also puts a hamper in some of the people that kind of and we can expand on this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but this is where it doesn't make sense to start Rui over Austin. Or is there a case to be made? Because the thing, and this is more of a Twitter of a fan take, and it always perplexes me because I'm always of the notion that you have to start your five, or there's five. You have your five best players. That's the five best players that you're going to probably close, and there's the five best players that you're probably going to start. There may be situations where matchup is something that you need to address, but this notion of benching Austin, and because I've seen it all around the timeline at times, people talking about it, where it's bench Austin, put Rui, then you have Marcus Smart, Luka, Rui, LeBron, Aiden. That's kind of, is it me, or does that just doesn't make sense?
I tried to map this out. I wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to let me give my best shot at this and see if I can try to make a 48-minute rotation map that makes sense for the lineups you've got out there, the combinations of offensive players, the combinations of defensive roles. And I tried this, and if you're still going to play Austin his normal minutes, it's impossible to do this, have him play his normal minutes, start and close, and have normal amounts of rest and kind of normal stretches of rest, as well as lineups that have, again, the defensive role fits. You're going to have Luka as a chaser more often. You're going to have Austin as a point of attack defender. You're going to force yourself into worse lineups throughout 48 minutes. And I don't think it's worth it. I think if there were a way to make it work, you could look into it. And there might be other teams where Austin makes sense as a high minute bench guy. But with this roster and the limitations you have defensively with so many different players and, trying to keep them into the right roles, he is easiest as a starter from my perspective. And now if Luka could reliably guard twos and be a chaser, it makes this easier to do. But until kind of proven otherwise, I'm going to assume that even Luka in a little bit better shape is probably not someone you want taking on, your two guards of the world. And he's going to be more of a 3 defender as a helper, guarding a lot of shooters off ball and trying to be a little bit away from the action, but still rotating when he needs to rotate.
That makes sense. That That makes perfect sense, and it kind of aligns to what I like. I was also using. I think B-Ball Index has like a rotation tool, if I'm not mistaken, or but not. Is it a rotation? There's a name for it, but basically like where you can map out like the 48 minutes.
Yep, I've got it pulled up in front of me right now. Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. Have you given that a try?
I've given that a try. Yes, I've given that a try and I've failed. I've only gotten into the second. I'll be honest. The thing that really gets to me, it's how do you fit? Like, tell me if I'm wrong with this because I played around with it. I don't see how there's minutes to spare for Dalton. I don't think there's minutes to spare for, Bronny is fine, G League, but this Kleber Hayes, like you probably have to choose one. Then you're probably gonna have minutes for Vando, depending on the matchup. But then that's where the Gabe and Kleber thing kind of makes me wonder, like what, like it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know if you encountered that with making like that rotation where it's like that second unit looks kind of awful. Am I wrong on that?
I think you end up staggering quite a bit to ensure that you've got the right mix of offensive skill out there. I don't expect the team to go with like hockey subs where they have the starting five and then a full bench mob. It is challenging, and I think this is the time of year where, like, I guess any time of year, you're not going to be able to put together a rotation map that pleases everyone because everyone's got their favorite players, everyone's got the guys they don't like. None of them are the same across the board. And with Luka, he's going to play, I don't know, 35, 36, whatever minutes a game. Same thing with Austin, probably the same thing with LeBron. Ayton's a 30-plus minute per game player. Smart has been his whole career up until this past season. So that's five guys right there that are playing 30 plus, 35 minutes a game. And so that doesn't give you a whole lot of time for the rest of the rotation. And like if the team had several questionable starters that weren't playing starter minutes, it's much easier to play a deeper bench and have more guys get more real minutes. But if you're going to have those five guys play kind of the way they normally would, Hayes is going to be looking at like a dozen-ish minutes. Rui's going to be looking at minutes in like the low 20s. Between Laravia and Connect, you're probably splitting like a dozen or so minutes collectively between them, unless you don't play Gabe at all. And if you don't play Gabe at all, now I need somebody to play point of attack when Marcus Smart's off the court. And I don't feel good about that being Luka. I don't feel good about that being Dalton Connect or Jake Laravia or Austin Reeves. So I feel like Gabe does still have to play. Not a bunch, but
wait a minute. Wouldn't Vando play that slot?
You could, but the issue that Vando's always had throughout his career is that he's not a good screen navigator. He can stay in front. If you want to play iso ball, pick up basketball, he's fine. But teams have realized just make him run around a couple ball screens. Go run double drag, and he's dead. And like this is what we've seen when LA played Dallas a couple years ago, and Vando did a great job on Luka. He ended up being taken off of Luka in that game later in the game in the second half because Dallas was just picking on him with ball screens, and he was getting crushed. LA ended up having him on the court guarding someone other than Luka because of that. Same thing in the playoffs against Steph Curry. He did a great job in ISO. He did a decent job trying to deny and top lock with off-ball screens. But as soon as Golden State went to their ball screen game, he was taken off that matchup, and his minutes went down and down and down. So until he can prove that he can navigate through ball screens, he's going to be a tough guy to have at that point of attack. And he's almost more effective, and I'd say he is more effective being like your 4 or 5 defensively and then switching onto the ball handler and just negating the ball screen altogether. Like he fits a switch scheme best, where he's got the size, he's got the quickness to guard 1 through 5. You still use help defense and all that and try to shrink the floor and everything. He's not the best rim protector, of course, but if he can be the guy that you deploy on the other team's center so that you can't run a 1-5 pick and roll as the other team, I think there's value there. And we've seen throughout Vando's career, he's had certain seasons where he guards as a helper. He's had other seasons where he guards as a wing stopper. And his 2 best seasons as an NBA player are both of those helper years. And it's not close with the others. And so like just from looking at the actual results and our data B-ball index, like he's been most effective in the kind of switchy, disruptive role. He's a great defensive playmaker, but he does so much of it off ball. jumping passing lanes. He's not the on-ball Avery Bradley, try to pick your pocket sort of pass. He is much better killing ball screens by switching and then jumping stuff off ball. And to me, I mean, you could put him on ball and then they'll just run a ball screen and now you're in trouble. Because if you're in drop, which is what I see, I think
we're going to be running more than none, right? Yeah,
I think so. Like, if you're looking at the different options, if you're going to hedge, that puts a lot of pressure on your helpers. That's a lot more work for LeBron and Luka. I don't love the work. I don't love the extra work, nor do I think they're the most effective at making those rotations. So I don't love the idea of hedging as a base coverage. If I'm going to switch, you're only as good as your weakest link, and LA's got some weak links out there. Like, they're going to pick on Luka, they're going to pick on Austin, they're going to pick on Gabe at times because he's small. They're like, I don't love it. If you're in drop, you need drop bigs, which the team has with Ayton and Hayes. And Hayes, by the way, got much better last year defensively. He was actually pretty strong.
Wait, Hayes has a drop? Really?
Yeah. He hadn't been earlier in his career, but he showed me some things on film last year that surprised me. And then I looked at the data, and the data lined up with it. I'm more comfortable there than I was before.
I needed to rewatch.
Yeah, man, look for it.
I needed to rewatch. Holy shit. Okay.
And I mean, next to AD, everybody looks bad, but
okay. Well, yeah, that's true.
But then, in order to be good at drop, you also need good ball screen navigation because, like, again, if we're thinking Vando, if I'm running drop coverage and Vando gets crushed on the screen and he's way behind the play, now the other team has like a very clear 2v1 on my big man. And I think Ayton's better defensively than people give him credit for, but I don't love him in that situation. So if you've got Smart or you've got Gabe, those are guys that navigate around screens well. They'll be able to be in that hip pocket of the ball handler and help Ayton out in drop. And you, by playing drop, you play the action 2v2, which means Luka and LeBron, they can just stand still and keep guarding their guys that are spacing. They don't have to actively rotate and recover. So it saves their energy. It allows the guys defensively that you have out there on the court to play defense to be the ones playing the defense. And yeah. I think that is where, like, schematically, I expect to see the team be more of a base drop coverage team this upcoming season instead of literally the switchiest defense in the league on ball screens, which to me just does not fit this roster.
That makes sense. So wait, so you would have Hayes over Kleber for, like, if we're talking rotation wise, like he would be like your 8th to 9th guy off the bench.
I mean, I would have Kleber as like, good 11? Lord, let me look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13. I don't know, man. Maxi Kleber, and again, I got to see him in person. He was one of my favorite maps. He and DFS and Luka, of course. Those were my favorite guys. I'm glad LA got all of them at different stretches. But he just has not been the same guy in recent years that he used to be. He used to be, like, pretty solid, and he's just been, like, very, very bad, like G League level bad the past 3 seasons. And his minutes have gone down each of those past 3 or 4 seasons. So he's got a lot to prove. He's going to be in his age 34 season, meaning the first day of the season, he'll be 34 years old. He's at an age where he should get worse. And we haven't seen him play, like, good basketball in a long time. So, like, I don't know. If you're banking on him to be the backup center, I think you are kind of just wish casting. If he does it, I'm happy. I think that's great for the team. He would fit into a switchy scheme. He could fit into a hedging scheme. He could space the floor. Like, there's a lot of goodness that he brings. And he can unlock more Vando minutes because then you don't have a non-spacing big. Like, it would be great if Kleber was good. I just think the like fair way to set expectations is that he won't be because he hasn't been for so long.
Damn. Well, that kind of puts a hamper into what I thought the potential of our center rotation is, because, like, if anything, are we leaning too much on Aiden? Like, and again, last year's center rotation was just Hayes, but that. I don't know. Like,
What about this? If you do, I've got one rotation map I built out. And I have Ayton with 28 minutes. He starts the game. He closes the game. He plays the end of the second quarter into the beginning of the first quarter. So he's got really like 4 stints, 3, depending on how you look at halftime.
So that's 28 minutes. So 28. That's 28. Okay.
So you've got 20 more. I've got Hayes with 12 of them, and then I have Vando with 8 of them. And I'm playing small ball, Luka, Smart, LeBron, Rui, Vando for 8 minutes a game, just my standard rotation. And then I have it set up where if it does well and you want to use more of it, you can scale it up and you can play more of it. How do you feel about that? You think 28 is more comfortable for Ayton, 12 for Hayes, and then thrown in some Vando time, but in the right kind of lineup to make the most of him, and then also, you know, build up some of that repetition. So if you get to the playoffs and you haven't been switching all year, like, you're gonna have a worse time with it. This allows you to get that practice in, and you have some upside if it's really what you want to lean on to do it for more than 8 minutes a game.
Maybe it's me, but I kind of feel like it's a little. Maybe I'm asking too much of Aiden, but I feel like that's low on Aiden. Like I would prefer like 30. Well, I'm probably thinking playoffs, but I would lean heavy on Aiden, to be fair, and maybe not single digits, but
he's averaged 31 minutes per game in his career. 31, 33.
Also, 31 has
30,
been his
30,
average.
32, 30.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's averaged every year.
You know what this is, right? This is we had AD for 7 years, so I'm putting a little bit of that into this equation.
Yeah, I feel like 30 is a
yeah.
good standard for Ayton. He's not Anthony Davis. DA
okay.
is not AD. He's a good player. He's a better player than people realize because he got a deal that was just he wasn't going to be able to perform up to that deal, and then he ended up with like just some of the worst supporting cast you could find in terms of what a big man should want. So I think he's going to, you know, change some minds and raise some eyebrows this year. And I think Marcus Smart will as well. I think 30-ish a game makes sense for him. 10 to 12, 10 to 15 for Hayes. And then Vando between 0 and like 8 or 10 center minutes per game.
Center minutes. So that would be your small ball 5 would be like.
Yeah, or you could say Rui's the 5. Either way. But the thing with Vando at the 5 is then you can switch that 1-5 and he's still strong at staying in front of point guards. Whereas if you switch Rui onto him, like, yeah, he's more beneficial as the small ball 5 if they're trying to post up, not as much if they're trying to run ball screens.
So, question: if you're running small ball, you're not running with Gabe. I imagine you're running taller than that. You're probably running with some sort of Reeves, some sort of like. And question: do you have Thiero in any of those minutes, or is he still like the 4th team guy or the?
He's out of my base rotation. I think he's going to play this year. I don't think he's going to not play. But he, like, looking at his college film, not just looking at his college highlights, he has a lot of work to do with his offensive game. He's a great athlete, cannot space the floor, does not do anything with the ball. He's not good finishing around the rim. He dunks well, but he's struggling with layups. He's not really big enough to just hang out in the dunker spot all day long. Like, defensively, he wasn't a point of attack defender. He wasn't guarding 5s all that much. He was like a wing defender and often a helper or a wing stopper. Like, I think there's a lot of potential, but to me, picking him is a long-term upside move, not one that, like, I'm expecting him to be a year 1 contributor. I think like year 3 is when I expect it. For me personally, that's the timeline I'm placing on him. So if he doesn't do anything this year, some people will say, "Oh, bad pick, he stunk." That's not going to move me at all. Because I'm not expecting anything this year, or maybe even next year. I'm thinking kind of year 3.5 is the kind of the over/under that I'd place on him being like a NBA rotation caliber player. And anything sooner than that is amazing development from the Lakers and from Thiero behind the scenes, because that college film, it's promising, it has potential, but it's not NBA ready right now.
Okay, that actually helps. But you know why I'm kind of high on Thiero though? Like, maybe this is a concern. Maybe it's over. You can tell me if this is overblown. Like, wouldn't you say that in terms of athleticism, having the 41-year-old LeBron James be one of your best athletes, even in the starting group, creates an issue? Like, and maybe it's a fault that we can't fix with one player, but
like, I'll ask you this: what do you mean by that? Like, basketball is a skill game. Basketball, I care about who's effective. Like, it's nice to be able to dunk. It's better to be more athletic, But like when I'm looking at a big, I don't care how athletic you are as long as you're effective. When I look at a wing stopper or a point of attack defender, I do not care how athletic you are as long as you're effective. And of course, again, being more athletic should help. But like Marcus Smart's a damn good on-ball guard and wing defender. He's not a like jump out of the building kind of guy, and I don't care because he can get the job done. Ayton, he gets the job done. He's a lob threat. Like he's got some athleticism. I don't know that like what is Thero? What does he bring you? How does the athleticism translate to rebounding, to rim protection, to on-ball defense, to rotational defense? Like that's what I look at. I'm not just like, what are your physical traits? They play into it, but we play basketball on the court, not like wherever they're doing the combine testing.
I think how I view it is like in a fast break, who's gonna be the athlete that's gonna be like trying to leak out to get that pass out from Luka, or who's gonna be the athlete that's just gonna try to out rebound the other guard, or who is gonna be the one that's gonna hustle, dive to the floor, get back up, and get ready to dunk again, or get ready to like just be available on the offensive end, or who's going to be the one that can create some speed or even rim pressure to a certain extent. And maybe the rim pressure is a bit too much asking with terms of athleticism, because that does require some skill. But like somebody that can that, I kind of put a little bit more weight in that, specifically when you have Austin, when you have Luka as your backcourt. Does that make sense, or am I like
I think it's valuable. Like he's going to provide like he'll be good in transition. I believe he'll be good in transition.
Yeah.
He is going to rebound well for a 6'6" player. He is 6'6", and so if I'm thinking about like the average basketball play with these other Laker players out there, Luka or LeBron or Austin, they're going to have the ball in their hands. You're going to have Ayton maybe setting a ball screen. You're going to have a couple guys spacing. What does Thero do? Does he just stand on the perimeter? And if so, he's going to be ignored. Or does he just stand, in the dunker spot as a 6'6" guy? Like he is someone, if I am playing against him, I am putting my center on him and I am just having them play goalie. And then like if they run, I don't know, he's just not a threat offensively right now. And that doesn't mean he can't be. I know he used to shoot well in high school, but like his body changed and there's no guarantee that he's going to get back to that quickly. And he hasn't gotten back to it quickly. It's been like 3 or 4 seasons of him trying to adjust to new dimensions on his body. And as much as I want to say now that he's on my team, I think he's going to figure it out. Like I'm not seeing gradual growth that like shows us that he's close to being able to space the floor adequately or finish around the rim adequately against NBA level competition. I still think he's going to get some putbacks. He's going to get some dunks. He's going to get some steals. But if he's like a super, super negative offensive player, you can probably do better with Gabe Vincent playing, 3-and-D, or I don't know, Jake LaRavia. That isn't the best defender, but he's fine and he's a good spacer offensively. Like those guys are just easier to fit around LA Stars, whereas this is a guy that is going to actively make life more challenging for LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reeves.
I spaced out. You just said Jake LaRavia, and I'm like, holy shit, he just didn't. for the 30 plus minutes that we've been talking, I have not even thought about Jake LaRavia.
Yeah, he's going to do fine. He's going to do fine this year. He's a good spacer.
No, I'm high on him. I'm really high on him. It's concerning when you okay. Here's a real question. If you bench Rui for Marcus Smart, where does that slot LaRavia? Like, is he going to be your wing stopper? Does he have to be a wing stopper?
No. So I was able to build out 2 rotations, one of them that has those small ball Vando minutes, one that just doesn't. And in either of them, LaRavia, to me, and how I'm having this set up, is in a helper role. Here's my defensive role setup. I have Gabe and Smart as my point of attack defenders. Smart's going to play most of the minutes. Gabe's going to play whatever's left over. But either way, I have someone that can stay in front and navigate ball screens. I then have Reeves and Connect as my chasers. They're going to guard the like off-ball guard. And then I have Laravia and Luka as my helpers, kind of more as like three-man defenders. And then Rui and LeBron as helpers that are more four-man defenders. And then I've got Hayes and Ayton as my anchors defensively. Whether they're going to be anchor bigs or mobile bigs, it'll depend on the coverage. But that's kind of, from a role standpoint, how I see guys fitting in. And then if you are playing if you are playing Vando, I see a lot of his minutes coming as a helper or potentially as like a switchy center.
Gotcha.
So Laravia for me is a helper. Connect is I don't think he's effective as a helper. I'm hoping to get some more chaser time out of him, but I can really easily see, like, by game 20 of the season, one of those two completely stealing the minutes from the other one between Dalton and Jake.
That's interesting. I would have thought you would want him to be a wing stopper or to develop into one. Is that something that's in the cards for him, or
it would be nice if he did. Looking at the film, he's not there yet. It doesn't really look like he's close to being there quite yet. It would be nice if he could get to that. He's not ready today, or at least wasn't ready on the film from the past two seasons. So maybe they can get him there. I am expecting him to be more of a helper defender, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if I'm wrong there.
Okay, that's fair. That's pretty fair. I will say I'm pretty high on him. I think his offense is something as also like his, maybe you posted this on Twitter. Am I wrong? Like, this could be one of the most playmaking type teams, like in terms of just playmaking, because everybody, like, Laravia has some connector, some passing chops, not anything, but like he looks like more of the Ryu's second year with the squad than anything else. And like Marcus Smart can play make, Austin can play make. Like, there's a lot of people can play make. Like, it's kind of crazy that you can always have a certain level of playmaking on the floor no matter what. So I don't think we've ever had that before.
Yeah, I think Ellie's going to be set up well. I think specifically if they were to start with Luka, Austin, Smart, LeBron, Ayton, you could make the argument that it's the best playmaking lineup the Lakers as an organization, as a franchise, have ever had. I put out a tweet not too long ago, a couple days ago, just comparing some different lineups, and I think it's the best one I can find or I can think of. So yeah, and then just beyond that, as you said, looking at the rest of the roster, there are definitely other players that can try to be in that conversation, and you're going to have more than just a bunch of dudes that if they catch the ball and the shot's not there, they just completely freak out. So I think there is a lot of passing and ball movement upside for this group. I'm going to take offense at comparing Jake LaRavia to year 2 Austin Reeves. Our B1 index metrics are going to strongly disagree with you there. Jake LaRavia, he was given volume. He was not creating high quality looks. He was not reading the full floor, making a bunch of difficult reads. He was throwing the ball away way more often than you want him to. But he was able to put up some assist points, and he got kind of lucky on that. So he'll take it. I think he's going to be a fine ball mover. I just don't expect him to be more of an on-ball playmaker at all. And that's fine. I don't think that's going to need to be his job.
That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to like the analysis. This is probably a few hours on YouTube highlights. This is Tim looking at the data.
Film.
Versus the film, the real film, not the highlights. So,
dude, this happens every offseason, and it's not me just trying to be a downer, but like anytime you're looking at highlights, it's going to be the best of a player, right? That's the point. And
agreed.
The play-by-play, the average, the normal of the player, of course, is going to be different. And when I'm trying to tell people here's what to expect, I'd rather be right than get them excited if I'm going to be wrong, right? I care about accuracy. And so that's why I'm spending time watching all this darn Memphis film and Sacramento film and watching Jake LaRavia stand in the corner and do nothing for, 18 of 20 possessions. I don't know. It's hard watching film for off-ball guys because so often they're not doing anything. But I'm grinding through it. I'm trying to watch the full season. And so far, I think he's going to be a good ad, and that's because he does fit in as an off-ball player, and that's okay. Let's appreciate for him for what he is and what he can do, and how LA can accentuate those strengths, rather than setting expectations for him to be like a playmaker, wing stopper, which to me is kind of those are the highlights. That's not the film speaking.
I agree, and there is some positive here. Like, do you agree? This is a better team. Like, regardless of how it's going to be used, I think that's more a JJ wheelhouse. And you kind of discussed. And by the way, great pod that you had with, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out on your.
Oh, with Tom, my co-host.
With Tom, yes,
yeah,
Tom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. And like it was a good pod. And if JJ can implement probably 75% of that, I think we're in good shape. Maybe more. Who knows? I think we're a better team. But yeah. You know what? I'm gonna end it with just one question, Tim. If you don't mind me asking, where do you have the Lakers just on the West? In terms of like what's your prediction early ass July, almost August, like on the top of your head?
I mean, probably like 4 or 5 should be like the expectation, but to me, what's really enticing about this group is that they've taken the kinds of upside swings they need to take in order to have that, 1 or 2 seed upside. Like, if Luka's healthy and has his burst back and is skinny and can beat you in switches instead of taking it, like literally 87% of his shots against switches this past season as a Laker were jump shots. If he can get to the rim again, you have an argument for him to be the number 1 offensive impact player in the league. Last year he was 4th, and we were all upset about it. If he can get that burst back, he can be your number 1 offensive player in the league. LeBron's LeBron. He's probably going to be a little bit worse, but he's still a very, very good player. Austin's very, very good. You got a lot of great offensive pieces, of course. You've added some great defensive pieces, but again, getting back to the upside, Luka, that's a swing point. What LeBron looks like next year, that's a swing point. Does he look like he did this past year, or does he look like what he probably should look like a year from now? He's at the point in his career where, like, what he looks like each season, the drop off should be bigger and bigger. And every year it's not, is just a testimony to his greatness. But in the data, I mean, we are starting to see those drop offs. So I'm worried about that. But if he can be him, that's a huge point. Ayton, you got him for super cheap relative to, he's been able to put up $17-18 million a year worth of on-court impact before. If he can do that again, huge value. Marcus Smart, same thing. His skill data the past few seasons is really good. He was able to be just as effective as you want him to be in so many different areas. It just didn't translate from an impact standpoint with some of those like top line metrics. And there's things that go into that, and he just didn't play a lot. And so that's part of it. But when he played well. And if he can do what he normally does and play normal minutes, if he can give you 1,500, 1,800 minutes in a season, again, you're talking about a 15, 16, 17, $18 million a year player that you're getting on a huge contract. So all of those guys should be like upside swings in a way. Laravia's got some upside. Like Thero, if you get anything out of him, I think that's a cherry on top in year 1. Like, there's a lot that could go well, and you could get a lot out of this team and a lot more than they kind of show on paper. And so I definitely think they have that upside for top 3. But I think, like, if you're telling me like my life's on the line, pick what's going to be most accurate, I'm going to tell you like 5 or 6 seed. And I hate myself for it, but they've got a lot to prove.
Don't hate yourself. Hey, they can only go up. That's the beauty of going to 5. Is like
it's going to make it all that more special.
It's going to make it all that more worthwhile. Like,
mm-hmm.
No, I appreciate you, Tim. I appreciate your time here. People, I do hope you like the content. If you want to know more about Tim, where can they find you, just so that people can know?
Yeah, man. Follow me on Twitter at Tim_NBA. That's Cranjis McBasketball over there. If you like the kind of shoot straight, looking at the film, looking at the data sort of approach. That's what you're going to find there. That's what you're going to find on the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast. We're not exceptionalist in that we're just going to tell you everything's amazing when it's not. We just have really high standards, and we demand excellence, and we expect this team to be a title contender every year. And that's what we're going to evaluate against.
Damn straight.
So if you're looking for that, not someone who's, I don't know, we're not going to beat around the bush. We're not going to try to prop people up. My ability to do what I do has no, I'm not demanding access or anything like that. So I don't need to sweet talk any agents or players or anything. So I don't care. We're going to tell you like it is, and hopefully it be as accurate as we can be. If you like the data side of things, you want to learn more, want to use our cool tools, check out B-Ball Index. Hell, look at the Twitter page, look at the Instagram. You can get a sneak peek of what the tools bring to the table, what you could do with them. And then if you want to try it out on the website, throw $5 at it, and you will just be able to just lose yourself in the player profiles we have and all the different tools that are available. You can create some really cool social media friendly graphics to go win some arguments, get some likes, get some retweets, or just, learn about your favorite players, learn about other teams' players. And there's color coding, letter grades, percentiles, everything we can do to make the data as easy to understand as possible, rather than just, a bunch of numbers in a table and you just have to stand there and squint. So if you like any of that, you want to learn more about the game, go check out each of those resources. If you want to go a step further, we've got a Discord server specific to the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast. And within there, you can join different tiers with bonus pods, with I have 24 hours of recorded X's and O's content if you want to be a better basketball mind from a play design standpoint, be able to understand how to beat coverages, all of those little things. You can get that there. So check all that out. There's my pinned tweet has that information. Link in my bio has more. So give that all a look if this is your cup of tea.
Yeah. And by the way, I am a B-Ball Index subscriber. I'll be honest, it's been a great tool to win arguments and be on top. I'm joking, but it
is like a legitimate use case for the information.
I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. And the best thing is when it's like, I kind of think Austin Reeves is better than this dude, and it's like, look, it is. Sometimes, the best thing is when you see data and you see the eye test and you're like, aha, there's a correlation. So that's probably the best way to view it from a fan perspective. I'm a fan of your work, Tim. Appreciate you. And guys, if you do have any comments for Tim, for me, please leave them below. Leave us a review. Like, share, and subscribe. We are on the road to 500 subscribers, so be aware. There's going to be a contest soon, so be aware of that. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.